I'm about to give you what I consider, personally, the single biggest news that I can announce since the formation of Image Comic Books, and more importantly, the release of Spawn issue number 1.
What? Seriously?
And I don't say that lightly, right? It may seem hyperbolic. I don't believe.
Okay.
Because this plan that I have is not just for now, it is a decades-long plan, and I've been thinking about it for a long time.
Oh man, this is going to be good.
You and I have been partners since 1992 on the Spawn comic book for over 315 issues.
True. I did buy several copies of Spawn issue number 1 back in the day, so we do go a ways back.
I'm going to do a one-shot that is going to launch what I am just calling simply Spawn's universe. And from that is going to spill the reason for the other 3 monthly books that I'm going to talk to you about.
My mind is blown.
There will be the intro book, Spawn's universe, and then we roll out the monthlies. So there will be Spawn, the ongoing book that we've got 315 issues of. There will be King Spawn, the first Spawn number 1 that you'll be able to buy in 28 years. We're going to have Gunslinger.
Okay. All right. Tell me more.
And then there's going to be the team book, a book I'm calling The Scorched. And the reason it's scorched because every one of those characters has been burnt at some point. You're going to see characters like the Gunslinger, Spawn, Medieval Spawn, and if you're going to have a character from Hell, you're going to have to balance that group. You're going to have somebody from Heaven. We're going to have the Redeemer.
Todd, my mind is blown. I think I need to head out now. I'm going to go to storage. I'm going to see whether I can find some of these books because clearly you are about to make some magic. So there has been a tremendous amount of excitement because of the announcements that Todd McFarlane has recently made. And I'm not a Spawn fan, but his announcements got me so excited that I went to my storage unit to look through my extended collection of 100,000 comics, trying to find some books that were, tied to these announcements that Todd McFarlane was making. And while I was digging through the collection, not only did I find a healthy number of books that are tied to like the Redeemer, for example, but I also found some really awesome books just in general related to Spawn. So I'm actually going to show you some of those books that are sitting here on the table. There are others that are in the outer room and others that are in a half short box that maybe I'll show in a later video. But I at least wanted to take this opportunity to show you some of the cool stuff that I was able to dig out. If you are watching this video for the very first time, I definitely want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button, and that will allow you to stay abreast of all of the content that I release from the channel. And what I attempt to do here at Regie Collects is to help make sense out of comic book collecting. With that said, the very first book that I want to show you is Spawn issue number 77. This book is a gorgeous cover. Gorgeous Capullo cover right here, and I do believe that this is the first Wing of Redemption Spawn. And yes, I am referring to notes because I am not a Spawn expert, but definitely a cover that I really enjoy. I really enjoy the pose and the wings and then the contrast of the background with the heavens kind of shining down upon him. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover. Next up is Spawn issue number 119, another Capullo cover. I want to say that I've pulled several copies of this book out of the collection already, but this one right here is the first appearance of the Hell Spawn army and also a cameo of the Gunslinger Spawn, and I think also a cameo of someone else. I cannot recall. But Gunslinger Spawn is one of those characters that I think is going to be central to the Spawn universe that Todd McFarlane again recently announced. I also have the Gunslinger Spawn's first full appearance, but I do not think that one is in this stack right here. Next up is issue number 179. Really, really awesome cover right here. This book is the first appearance of War Spawn, and I was fortunate enough to actually find, I want to say 2 copies, maybe 3 of this book, but definitely a really, really cool cover right there. I dig that one. Next up, this one is, I do believe, the first appearance of Spawn's daughter, who was raised by a demon. I think her name is Morena. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is Spawn issue number 183. Really cool book right here. I want to say that these were not bagged and boarded when I found them in the collection, but I very quickly dropped all 3 copies into a bag and a board to protect it. So really cool book right there. Also somewhat of an expensive book, I do believe at this point. Those books seem to be going for a little bit of money, but didn't do a ton of research into that, so I may have completely butchered that. So next up is another Capullo McFarlane cover. This is issue number 88, and I think that is essentially the only thing that is significant about this, is that it is a Capullo Todd McFarlane cover. A really cool one. So there you go. Next, I have Spawn 100, and this is the death of Angelina. Just a really cool cover again right there. I want to say that there are a couple copies of this in the collection. I'll be showing you one of the variants here in just a moment. But Spawn issue number 100. I think that there are several different things that actually happen in that issue. The death is just one of them. This next one is just a super creepy cover. This is Spawn 180. I am a huge fan of the color red, so whenever I see a red cover, it captures my attention. But I found 3 copies of this in the collection. I pulled 2, and I want to say 1 copy is still in the outer room out there. So that is the first bin, or the first box that I went through. I have one other here that I'm going to show you. Open this one up, and this one actually has more books in it. Let's see if I can get myself together, and I will show you these books as well. To the point that I just made, this is another issue number 100 of Spawn, but this one is just a cool cover here from Mike Mignola. So cool cover, very much Mike's style right there. You can see that. It looks very similar to what you would see from like Hellboy or something like that. This next one is issue number 164. This is a gray Capullo cover. Just a cool one. I want to say that there were 2 copies of this one in the collection. To the point of cool covers, here is issue 186 right there. Again, I don't think that there's anything significant about these last couple that I've shown other than the fact that the covers are pretty cool. Issue number 122. This one is, I think, the first appearance of Nyx. Nyx, I think that's it. And Nyx eventually becomes She-Spawn. Again, issue number 122 right there. And She-Spawn, I'm looking at you, sister. Hopefully you are enjoying this video. I lie because there is the other copy, the 3rd copy of issue number 180. Thought that was in the outer room. It is not. Next up, this is issue number 12, and this is the origin of Spawn, as well as the first Jason Wynn, who I do believe goes on to be the Redeemer, another character that is going to be central to the universe, the Spawn universe that Todd McFarlane announced. So I actually have 3 copies of this book right here, and I'm still hunting for, I think it's issue number 17. I want to say that that's the first appearance of the Redeemer, I want to say. So I'm still hunting for that one in the collection, and I remain hopeful that I'll find it. Next up is issue number 31. I just read this issue last night. Really cool issue. This is, I do believe, the first new Redeemer. Again, I think the first Redeemer was in issue number 17, his first appearance, and I was able to find 3 copies of that. And fingers crossed that I can find issue 17 as well. And then the very last book that I'll show you again, at least in this video, is Spawn number 1. And I unfortunately was not able to find a newsstand copy, but I did snag 3 direct edition. And there's probably a couple more in the collection, to be honest with you. There are, if memory serves, at least 5 or 6 different bins that contain Spawn books. And at the time that I was going through the storage unit, I had 4 store folios full of books. So I decided to call it quits after only going through a couple of the bins. I may make another trip to the storage unit to see what else I can find. Fingers crossed again that I can find, maybe a newsstand version of issue number 1. I don't know if that's possible. Possibly also issue number 17, the first appearance of the Redeemer. So fingers crossed that I can locate those books. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. And again, if you enjoyed this video, I certainly want to encourage you to leave a comment behind and also to hit the thumbs up button. If there was anything in here that I stated incorrectly, please correct me down in the comment section, because again, I'm not an expert at Spawn. I am little by little wrapping my mind around this universe because I have a tremendous amount of faith in Todd McFarlane's ability to make magic. And if he is creating a Spawn universe, I think that it's going to be done incredibly well. And so part of the reason why I'm pulling these books is because I'm trying to read these books in anticipation of what is to come next later in this year from Todd McFarlane and Image. So definitely just trying to stay ahead of the curve. So when this becomes a topic of discussion later on, I will at least know what the heck is going on. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up, and I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
In 20 years from now, this will be the moment we'll be looking back on saying, remember when that began. And I can't do it without you. I can't do it without those talented people. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you.